Just like I don't need to set myself on fire to know I'm gonna burn, I don't need to enter a hoe phase to know it's self-destructive. Toxic feminism has taught young, beautiful, intelligent women that in order to be liberated, they need to be equal to a dusty boy. So let me break it down. All the hoe phase does is transfer all the power and the dynamics from the women over to the men. The primary perk for a man in a relationship is sex. The hoe phase allows him to access sex without investing time or money. He can then go on to meet the love of his life, who will be nothing like the hoes he was sleeping with. Primary perks for women are protection and investment. She gets neither of those in the hoe phase. This dynamic leaves men with inflated egos and women with low self-worth. So stop teaching women to be equal, teach them to be expensive.
CP the artist here to talk about what is a hoe phase. A hoe phase is a slang term that describes basically a period in someone's life where they engage in sexual behavior, through dating, it's non-committal. It's framed in like a time period where people just let loose, and they call it the quote-unquote hoe phase. Now, women use this term a lot.
These phases are very important and they make you who you are. So I struggle with the term hoe phase. I know what it means and I am not against it, but I feel like when we say the words hoe phase, it can sometimes come off judgy.
I came to the realization that number one, there's no such thing as a hoe phase. Either you're a hoe or you're not. Because it doesn't take me to get hit in the head with a hammer to know that it hurts, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind the term. I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much. But I definitely think that this time in your life is just a time for you to express yourself in a way that feels comfortable for you, right? So people go through this phase differently. Some people wow out, and some people, their hoe phase is like, ooh, I'm gonna talk to this person and this person at the same time. Where some people, their hoe phase is, oh, I am running through as many people as I can.
Talk about the phase. I feel like there's so many different seasons and different moments in people's life where they feel like it's necessary to go through the phase. One of the categories is when you're just very young and you're just looking for love in all the wrong places. That was my story. I went through the phase from 14 to 16 because I just wanted love. I just wanted attention. I wanted male affection. And I thought the way to do it was to give my body away, because if they like me sexually, then they're gonna love me. I was selling my body for what I thought was love, and it wasn't. And I am not afraid to talk about that moment in my life because I'm not that person anymore. And if you had gone through that phase, you're a completely different person. And when we know better, we do better.
Anyone that says that they had a hoe phase, I've always been leery of that connotation and that understanding of the word phase. Because like I said, it doesn't take me to get hit in the head with a hammer to know that it's something I didn't want.
If it's glamorized in the media, I stay far away from it. I'm not trying to be conformed to the ways of the world. I'm trying to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. And a lot of women don't realize that the hoe phase is a reflection of brokenness and not a reflection of freedom, because the truth is you're broken, but you keep trying to be fixed by the same thing that keeps on breaking you. Make it make sense. You just hear, oh, I'm liberated, women can do it too. Double standards. I'm glad there's a double standard there. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to get away with what men can get away with. I don't know why we want to. Men degrade themselves too. It's not just women.
Right? Now, I understand one girl might have had one situation, whatever. I'll give you that, right? You know what I'm saying? It was sex that was non-committal. It was spontaneous, whatever. And would I call her a hoe? Nah. But first time is a mistake. Second time, it is a decision. And it comes to mind. This comes to mind. I had a friend, tell me that there was a girl that he was attracted to that knew she was a hoe. And he hoped that she would change her ways like in her late 30s and 40s. And he assumed that, you know what, if she could change her life, I would be with her. She could get all that whole phase out, and knowing that that whole phase was gone, that he would want to be with her. And I'm like, bro, she did her hoeing for a reason. She did her hoeing for a reason. Another point, I have female friends. And when I talk to them about their wholeness, they take their wholeness to another level. Always tell me that, oh yeah, you know, I was young and I was dumb and so forth and so on. But somehow in the 30s and the 40s, they just take that wholeness to another level.
Reason that this is a time that I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. There's a difference between having a hoe phase and just being plain single. Let me just talk a little bit about the real issues with going through this phase, okay? First reason, you are practicing non-attachment. The muscles that you use to hoe are not the same muscles that it takes to sustain a long-term healthy relationship. You are practicing non-attachment. You keep attaching yourself to someone, then detaching. What pattern are you setting up for your future?
Being a hoe is more about that self-gratification than it is your morals, your integrity, and your shame. You know what I mean? When your shame reflexes turn off, you can't stop doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Your consciousness has to kick in over your sexual emotions and so forth and so on. So I don't believe it's a phase. And I've known guys, right, who's married women, and they tell me, yo, CP, man, she told me she was a hoe back in the day. And come to find out, she left me because she was just being a hoe. I should, you know, they tell me they should have seen the warning signs. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in relationships too, with a girl, she quote unquote had her quote unquote whole phase, but it was never a whole phase. It was actual, you know, she was showing me what she is capable of. When a woman shows you what she is capable of, you better believe her. Sadia Khan, she says that women never lie.
The reality is a lot of men will say, she lied to me in the beginning. She was so good. She was so good. She lied to me. She lied to me. She lied to me. Women never, ever, ever lie. Never do they lie. They might not say the truth, but they always show you the truth. Every woman that you've been with that has hurt you, used you, cheated on you, stolen from you, whatever it is, she showed you her red flags from day one. You chose to ignore them. You chose to ignore them. This is what women will do. They meet a man and they'll basically show their red flags in not so clear ways. So they might show it simply by how she dresses, and she might show you that she might be provocative, or she might show you with her sexual behavior.
In the book, Way of the Superior Man by David Dida, it's the same concept. Women do not lie. They tell you who they are. It's your dumb behind that believes her. Women do not lie. Women will tell you whom they are, and they will not lie about it. But if you deny all the red flags, then you have fallen into turning a hoe into a housewife. Do people change their habits? Yes, they do. But best believe, don't be that guy that's going to always sleep with one eye open because he's with a girl that is a hoe.
And a lot of women that glamorize the phase do not talk to you about the STIs they caught, the HIV, the AIDS that they caught. Nobody tells you about these things, and nobody thinks about these things when they're in the moment. That's why it's my responsibility as your internet big sis to tell you the real tea. Everyone thinks that they are exempt until it happens to them. You are not exempt, sweetie. And you have to understand, the more relationships, the more situationships, the more you entwine yourself with people, the more trauma you are creating for yourself. Attaching, detaching causes trauma to the body, to the mind, and to the soul.
And I don't have a problem with that. However you want to explore that time in your life,
exploratory,
you know, go for it. And I think everyone needs to have a hoe face.
And here's the thing that I want to talk about. There's a lot of things that people do nowadays, and it's kind of like reverse psychology, right? They try and make what is bad good and try to justify it, right? But the self-justification starts with the person. Deep down, you don't believe that you deserve or you will get what you really desire. If I was to give you a paper right now and told you I will give you everything that you want, what would you write down? No one's writing down the hoe phase. If I gave you a blank piece of paper and I asked you what would you want relationally for your life, you would write down you would want to be a wife, you would want to be someone's one and only. But when you don't believe deep down that you will receive it, you lower your standards, you settle for the hoe phase, and then you try to glamorize it, right? You settle, but then you try to bring out balloons and decorations and decorate it and make it seem like, oh, it's fun down here. Stop lying to yourself. It's not fun to be unsure, uncertain, to wake up with regrets every single time you sleep with someone. It's not